address where it stands for the board. So it is, yeah, board is composed of elected individuals who are representatives of the voters of the town. And you've got, each of you has your own experience and insights. Yeah, there are various parts of this process that have been going on, depending on how you count, since the summer, or since 2022, or since 2019, or 2018. So some things have moved very quickly, some things have moved extremely slowly. So there's a lot behind this. The board could say we're going to provide conditional approval subject to review by Wendell as a town engaged consulting engineer and a town attorney for legal provisions, and the town supervisor. That, again, that could be done. At the same time, I have my own concerns about the fact that we still have not heard from the siting board. And we could talk more about that either in open or in attorney-client meeting, but by law, the siting board is way overdue on their statutory obligation to make a ruling regarding the town's petition for a rehearing, because there are things that seem to conflict with itself in the order. We're still waiting for that. So that's one concern I have. It's not primarily the issue at hand in the road use agreement, but it's related. And again, I'm not sure what we do with that when the state agency doesn't follow its own regulations. It's not the first time I've seen that, but it's never a good thing. In terms of the road use agreement itself, my basic opinion is the agreement is improved by what has been offered so far is an improvement over what we've had in the past. There are still some things that I think Wendell and certainly Tom would like to see added. If we can identify those and nail them down. Tom has a lot of questions, I understand that. Wendell has helped narrow the scope of uncertainty. What's still being questioned, what still isn't 100% on the same page about, okay, if this project goes forward, this is what they should be doing to make the road use safe and with a minimal impact to the public. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. As board members, you've got the sometimes unenviable task of making a hard call on it, and you don't do it as purely based on opinion. You do it based on your understanding of what's in the best interest of the town as a whole. So yeah, that's, can't tell you what you should do. I can tell you how you should do it, I guess. And I know we've worked on this together as a board and me as council to try to advise through the process. Yeah, it's frustrating that you get all the information the day of the meeting. We all know human nature. We work best to a timeline. And when there's a deadline, it's a busy month. It's going to continue to be busy until January at least. So, would it be permissible and legally supportable for the board to make a decision tonight? I think so. Would it be permissible and legally supportable to say we still need to get more details from Wendell? Yes, also. I know and understand Fran Wins is trying to move forward with their project, and they've got workers and contractors that are ready to go. The weather's not likely to get better for the next couple of months. It's likely to get more challenging. It's a tough time to try to start construction on anything right now. And I'm sure they would prefer to reached the agreement the moment the order was issued, and so they could have started construction in August or September, but there's very legitimate reasons why the board didn't want to do that in a rush either. So, and there were consequences to all those things, most of them not direct but indirect. And you can accuse me of giving a lawyer answer because it depends on this, that, and the other. So that's the nature of it. If you want to talk about the risks of doing one thing versus doing another thing, we can discuss it. So yeah, you've got the opportunity to make a reasoned determination. And if I understand correctly, the request of Barron's attorney, Barron wins, we've got a proposed agreement that's been presented and offered. They're asking the board to consider adopting that conditioned upon confirmation or modification of the language by Wendell and potentially me as counsel to make sure that it achieves the board's stated purpose. So it can be a limited delegation to council and to the town supervisor to say, okay, this I believe fits with what the board has authorized, and you can do it.
I have one.
Yeah.
Instead of me, could we have Tom be?
Sort of.
We aren't road people.
Yeah.
Tom is out there dealing with them.
Well, so the issue is ultimately the way a resolution or authorization to enter an agreement is essentially who acts for the board.
Yeah.
Whoever the board designates, but for entering into an agreement, it's the supervisor, the deputy supervisor, the alternative, who is the hand of the board at that point. So you could make it contingent upon Tom's approval, but the ultimate execution of the agreement would be the supervisor, or if you're not available, the deputy supervisor. So that's, and my law partner and mentor and also father has got decades more experience of this, so if I go astray, he'll straighten me out.
You're trying to walk the tightrope.
Yeah. But giving guidance without trying to fit it. I wasn't elected to do that.
Would it be helpful if I share a little bit of a schedule update as well? Is that helpful? Construction schedule. So currently we have received a notice to proceed by the Power Side Report. So we can do full construction at this point. The most desirable thing is tree clearing, obviously, because we're in the bat habitat window where we can actually cut trees right now. That commences November 30th, and we have to have everything removed by March 15th or March 30th. So that's a huge issue timing-wise, and obviously it's a large site, and we have a lot to do between now and then. The contractor currently is waiting for a little bit of weather improvement, and we'll start the batch plant. We're fully approved for the batch plant at the corner of Rose Hill Road. But pending that, then we have to stop work, because that's all we have approval for from the town to do that. So we're at basically a week's worth of work to start the batch plant for the stripping crew, and then they're idle. So that's kind of why we're pushing pretty hard for that, is so that we don't mobilize and then have to stop. Specifically with the tree clearing, there's not enough off of any county road or ability to get the tree clearing equipment there without having that approval. So we can work around some roads that, Tom has some concerns about. We can work around those, but some roads don't need anything, so we can go down those roads. So that's kind of a general update on construction here, but we have got confirmation from Vestas that they will have first turbines here June 7th.
Turbine deliveries tentatively scheduled for June 2nd.
7th.
7th.
Yeah. which they are pushing us to move it forward because of the Alley-Cat wind project that they also have to deliver in the state. And the highway patrol is limiting how many turbines can be, because they don't have enough deputies to be escorted at a time. So they actually are trying to finagle their contract to get turbines here in May.
So I think we can all agree we are getting closer, each time we're getting closer. Again, what's the penalty gonna be for vehicles over 8 tons on these non-designated haul routes? Nothing's been said about that. I just brought up the rubber mats. Are they gonna put them across the roads, and if they don't, what's the penalty? It just said nothing about that. I brought up state-approved material. They said nothing about that either. So I guess these are things that we need to add into that contract before it's passed. So again, we're getting close, but you need to cross the Ts and dot the Is. And I need to get back with Rick to see if he determines this the same way. It's kind of hard to do that when you get it at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Where are you guys getting your material from?
3 plants have been identified. There's one in Bath. I don't know. If you told me that Corey's, I could tell you if that's it or not.
All right.
Hubbard's?
Hubbard's is definitely one of them. Blades,
So that's state certified material.
yeah.
Splina.
No,
State
I don't,
certified
yeah, I
material.
don't know that
Item 4?
Splina is included, actually. I don't think Splina is included. There's another one up there at Bath. You go in through the town of Bath. Which one's that?
Wilkins. Nice settlement.
I think that's
Hanson.
Yeah.
Okay, Hanson, yeah, yeah. These
They
are,
all have state
yeah,
certified material.
these are all places that, Wesson has used before. And the only reason I know that is because we have the whole route with the county already, determined. And, they've given us the sign off at this point.
So are you agreeing to use state-approved material, is that what you're saying?
Tom, I honestly can't tell you I don't know the specs of that. I can't commit to that because I don't know.
Well, there we go.
I believe all the access road material required for the project is New York State DOT sub-base, so it'll probably be the same material.
Well, we don't have that in writing anywhere. So that needs to be added again. Jason kind of already indicated that it's gonna be locals that are gonna be driving, vehicles over 8 tons on the 9 non-designated haul routes, and allegedly they're gonna be fined $1,000, but yet nobody got fined in phase 1, even though we had multiple pictures of vehicles on roads they weren't supposed to be.
Is it in the contract about buying?
There's a lot of this stuff in the contract. We've met with Window, and I know Thomas should have met with Window a couple times ahead. We're going off of what they have sent us. We sat in the room and developed the plan, and, if it wasn't included then, now we're adding additional stuff. The first time I've heard about the rubber mats is tonight. So, we'll put stuff in there that we need to put, but we're just pushing it.
Because I keep remembering all the wrongdoing you did in phase 1.
I know, but there's also an obligation, Seth, for good faith and fair dealing here. And
Yeah.
at this point, we've made a request to the town to allow the experts you guys have hired to guide you, so that we can get this done and these gentlemen can get to work. We can continue to have these discussions, and it can go the way it seems that it's veering to go. But we would like to reach an agreement with the town.
But once the town agrees to this, there's gonna be, what's the town gonna do if they don't follow the thing, and we know how that goes. Like I said, when, in phase 1, we had to go get a camera because Randy says, what proof do you have? So we had to go get a camera and take pictures to show what proof we had. And then what happened? Nothing, they didn't do anything, they still kept using the roads. So that's why we need to be a little more specific with all this stuff and get everything in writing, from state-approved material to the mats, to what, to the fines, everything.
So, and I don't believe in prior negotiations or discussions that the mats have specifically been made an issue. I know there have been discussion about penalties for use of non-approved haul routes and for speed violations. So I appreciate that speed is now specifically incorporated in the proposal. I don't know if
I think we did.
specified the mechanism, but we have specified that there should be penalties for non-conforming use, or non-approved use of the haul routes, or the non-approved routes. And we've had discussions, everybody I think understands pickup trucks and standard weight vehicles. There's different rules for those can be much more widely used, but heavy construction. And that's been a major sore point in the past, so I would like to see that. I would like to see that in our town clear, pretty clear. So that there's a way that happens, that it doesn't become an ongoing issue. And I understand the request.
We are open to good faith negotiations, absolutely.
And whether it's approved here tonight or not, I'm saying for the town is certainly intend to be guided by Wendell and by Tom and legal counsel. And we've had the discussions and the issues about trying to get to common ground. It's more complicated than everyone thinks it should be.
So, can I just ask a quick question about the aggregate you're gonna use? So my understanding is, if it has to be a requirement, it has to be required. I mean, if it's already, like, you have a requirement to maintain all those roads for state-approved aggregate, correct?
Well, that's what we're asking for.
Right, but what I'm saying is the town actually has that commitment to use that, right?
Well, that's what we're trying to get him to agree to tonight.
Right, so I mean, any New York State road has a New York State mandate for what aggregates can be on it, so I think it's a no-brainer that he has to agree.
But again, we want it in writing. We want to cross the Ts and dot the Is. So they just put it in writing, then they can add that to this contract.
So if we had a side letter of agreement to use any state mandated material required for the roads, and for a fine of some sort for the oversized trucking, we could come to an agreement tonight and get this project rolling, is kind of what I'm hearing.
All right, that's a question for the board. I think Tom has made clear there's concerns that you're not satisfied with yet. It's not
I mean,
final
if that
yet.
gets us done, I mean, I'm done.
If the New York State does step in and decide to tell these guys go through the project and we don't have a land use agreement, is that gonna hurt us? Are we gonna lose any rights at that point? If New York State just says, all right, go ahead, proceed.
Means we just have more, potentially,
I don't think as long as you think.
it may potentially involve more legal process, but, the town may lose some of the things we're requesting as conditions in exchange for the haul route modifications. We may get a partial grant down.
So I think it would be-
Hasn't been tested very well, because there's been a couple instances where a municipality has basically not reached